Nearly 90% of enterprises said that they don't have that clean data fit for scale for AI. So the problem is just so persistent across every organization. It's not just one marketing team or one marketing organization. It's not one size of company. It's every company that touches customer data is facing this problem. And it's going to hold people back as they start to think about these AI transformations and the work that they want to do.
Hey, Guy Powell here, and welcome to the next episode of the Backstory on Marketing and AI. And if you haven't already done so, please visit ProRelevant.com and sign up for all of these episodes and podcasts. And as you know, I am the author of the upcoming book, The AI Marketing Machine. And you can find out more information on that at marketingmachine.prorelevant.com. And by the way, we've got some exciting news coming up. We're very, very close to having the book ready, and we'll even have the first chapter up on the site pretty soon, so you can take a look at that and download that. And of course, sign up for more information on this intersection, which I love that term, the intersection of AI and marketing. Today, we're interviewing Kate Parker with Transcend. And let me tell you a little bit about her. She is a former senior marketing leader at Google and Uber, and she is now the president of Transcend. And there she helps Fortune 500s and high growth brands activate AI and personalization, and doing it responsibly by building trust and control into their data foundations. How important is that? Kate, so good to have you. Welcome.
Before we go any further, a quick pause. This is important. Your sales force is one of the most expensive investments in your company. The real question isn't who's likely to buy someday, it's who should be called right now to create the most value. Traditional propensity models tell you who might convert. Our prescriptive modeling, called COPA, tells you who will convert because you called them. If you manage a large sales organization and want higher conversion, bigger deals, and better use of every rep hour, let's talk. If you want your sales team focused on the calls that matter most, visit prescriptivemodeling.prorelevant.com and set up a short strategy session.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here. I'm excited to chat with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit more about what is your backstory on AI and marketing?
Yeah, so at Transcend, as you mentioned, we focus on helping companies answer a very specific question, which is, can I use this data? And as we know, that's really the foundation of a lot of the AI transformations happening today. As companies are thinking about how they reach customers, how they execute on personalization, that's all built on a foundation of first-party data, that customer data. It's taking that customer data and doing something new and interesting with it to grow revenue and to make sure that they're deepening loyalty with their customers. So we spend a lot of time with our digital counterparts at the companies that we serve, and they're really digging into that question to figure out how do they do more with first party data? How do they roll out those AI initiatives? How do they get that personalization up and running and impacting the bottom line in a great way? And we're seeing just some really consistent challenges that are existing. And so that's what we're really digging into, understanding how we help folks through this sort of like dirty data problem, this problem of just not understanding how they can activate it, and then making sure that carries all the way through to the end activations that marketing teams are excited about. And there is a lot of excitement with what AI can do for marketing organizations writ large. That's been awesome to partner with them on.
Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, especially customer data, it is dirty. And you would think that by now, after we've had the IT revolution and the internet revolution and the web revolution and now the AI revolution, you would think that we would have clean data. And unfortunately, that is just not the case.
It's so true. We actually just recently did a study and we found that nearly 90% of enterprises said that they don't have that clean data fit for scale for AI. So the problem is just so persistent across every organization. It's not just one marketing team or one marketing organization. It's not one size of company. It's every company that touches customer data is facing this problem. And it's going to hold people back as they start to think about these AI transformations and the work that they want to do.
Yeah, I believe it. Well, I could imagine though that just looking back even a couple of years, as you focus on, some of the larger brands that you've worked with, that things have really changed in a dramatic way, in terms of how we reach customers. And then on the other hand, things are still the same. I mean, print magazines and whatever are kind of still the same as they've always been. So what do you see as what has most changed overall?
I think what's changed and stayed consistent is what you were just mentioning, that marketing organizations, revenue organizations, they're using lots of different activities to reach a customer and to drive an outcome. It could be holding on to some of those really great traditional channels that are working really well, taking the print, carrying it forward, blending it with the digital strategies, layering in, media networks or interesting ad tech components, blending loyalty and personalization, partnering really closely with product to build that blended customer experience that drives an outcome. And so when I think about what's changing and staying the same, it's just that it is so many different types of marketing activities. They all rely on the same thing, though, right? They all rely on customer data and first party data to help drive those successfully, to have the insights and the knowledge to make sure that those are moving forward. And as you mentioned, we work with, a lot of different companies of all sizes, including Fortune 500 companies who are really digging into that digital layer very specifically. And for them, it's a question of how do we make sure we get our data clean, compliant data, ethical data that can then drive that richness of insights and drive the top line revenue growth for the business as well.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And with all of that outreach that's taken place, and especially with AI, and everybody's hitting everybody with so many channels and across whatever it happens to be, from good old print all the way up to modern, programmatic, and now, even AI-based search. And then of course you have us marketers, us smart marketers. We're using AI to generate all kinds of different content. And now we're flooding the market. So how do brands break through? What are they doing to really get past all that noise that's out there?
Yeah, it's so right. I think that it feels very noisy and it can feel very noisy, particularly as content is starting to proliferate pretty dramatically across the market. To me, it always goes back to that customer insight because that insight is what helps people cut through the noise. Are you generating content just to generate something, to sort of fill the void? Or are you building it based on the specific insights of what your customers or future customers are telling you in terms of their behaviors and expectations and interest in your brand, and then using that to drive your strategy? And I think that's where brands are cutting through. They're using AI to help speed up their marketing processes, make them more effective, improve the relevancy, improve the personalization and the targeting. But they're not sort of just adding to the noise to add. They're doing it in a really targeted way to help make sure that they're delivering the right message to the right person at the right time. And AI is really powerful for doing that, but it has to be used correctly in order to have that kind of come through.
Yeah, absolutely. It reminds me a ways back, and when I first signed up with GoDaddy for a website, I remember putting in there in my address. So there's always one, two, or three address lines, and so you put in your physical address on the first line, and then they're expecting, like suite number or apartment number or whatever in there. Well, I usually put in there something like GoDaddy sold my address. And and it's funny, I did that for like 5 or 10 different companies, and then I got tired. I don't know. But every once in a while, that address would show up in my
Ah,
mail. And I'd say, aha, they sold my address. And so nowadays though, with digital and AI, of course, it's a little bit different. I mean, I see, some very highly targeted emails and what have you coming to me, and I go, aha, look at that. They look at how well they're using my data. Now I'm in marketing, so I don't mind it, so to speak, but I'm sure a lot of customers feel that that's invasive. What do you think is going on there? How do you take advantage of all this without really, going past that line of invasiveness?
yeah. Well, first of all, I love that tip. I might have to steal that in terms of putting that in the second line address. That's so smart. I think that that really helps show exactly what consumers expect, which is they expect a relationship and transparency. It's not that they're opposed necessarily to things being taken and augmented and personalized, as you mentioned. We all love having that great personalized email that feels like it was built just for us and just what we're looking for. And consumers do tend to say that they like that personalization and that they would prefer a digital experience that is built on that. But they want it done within the contract of their relationship, what they expect from the brand, how far they expect the brand to go. And every company is different in terms of how they establish that relationship with their consumers and then how they want to carry that forward. And I think it's just really in getting that right, that relationship. And, in some ways, that's not specific to marketing, that's very consistent across a company. How are we going to treat our customers? What do they expect from us? How are we going to show up as a brand? And how are we going to do that consistently? And those are all the same principles that I think apply here today. Because customers do want it, but they want it done really respectfully, and they know and they can feel when it goes too far. And they want to pull back when it goes too far, and they might do that by buying less. They might do that by moving to a competitor who has a better brand experience. So they will vote with their dollars in terms of that, but they really, really value that relationship. And I think marketing organizations that understand that and invest in the structures to be able to walk that talk all of the time do really, really well with their consumer base.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think getting that personalized, maybe not necessarily personalized, but a message that means more to me is going to be more valuable than one that's kind of a generic, free for all that doesn't really mean anything.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, now, unfortunately, though, this stuff is incredibly hard to execute. And we're dealing with a client right now, and they've got an agency, and it's actually the agency that's holding them back from executing some of this really highly personalized or just even selective and getting the right audience and being a little bit more dynamic in how you're choosing your audiences. So I'm sure there's other things that going on. Tell us some of the other, organizational challenges or tech challenges that you've run into to be really, to provide that higher value kind of a content.
Yeah, well, I think you're hitting on so many of them. The first that comes to mind for me is just the fragmentation that exists. When you think about the different data warehouses, SaaS vendors, of all across not just the marketing technology stack, but the company technology stack, you have all of this customer data sitting in very disparate places. And marketing teams that are seeking to drive personalization and AI transformations, they need not only a source of truth, but they need really clean data that's going across their different services and products. So that's just the first problem, right? It's everywhere, and nobody has a sense of what the source of truth is for whether or not they can use it. The second thing that you were sort of highlighting with the agency work in particular is just sort of building on that. It's getting worse. Data is proliferating like crazy. We are making more data than we have ever made before. And this problem is not going away. It's actually getting more complicated with AI, particularly as you start to think about all of the great ideas that people have and want to execute. They want to segment for this population and they want this message over here and they want this strategy for this particular product on the roadmap. And all of that means that the fragmentation and the data on top of it is just getting messier, not cleaner. Certainly, the people, the process, the technology can add to that if it's not done well. We see a lot of whether it's manual approaches across the tech stack to try to figure that out. We see a lot of process that might be introduced. It's really just sort of a bottleneck that's gumming up the system. It's not aiding the system in any way. Um, and then you're just adding on top of that all of the regulations that exist across what you can actually do with the data. So it can get very complicated when people do not have that single source of truth and those clean pipelines running throughout their business, or if they haven't invested in the infrastructure to do so, particularly at this day and age.
Yeah, it's funny because we work in it seems like we're working mostly in regulated industries, although that's not by choice. I guess it's more happenstance. And there are AI governance boards or whatever you want to do it, committee, whatever you want to call them. But it seems like that's really not enough. How do you really bring something that touches, how do you bring it all together that touches legal and privacy and then product development and risk management and bring all of that together? What have you found that really works for larger organizations and especially those that are in a regulated environment?
Yeah, I think that, committees are always a great start. At least you're getting people to the room together to say this is a shared problem. We can't say with confidence whether or not we can activate this data for AI. So let's figure it out. Let's get IT in the room. Let's get the privacy and legal folks in the room. Let's get the digital folks in the room and talk about what we need. That's an awesome start. And I would say for many of our Fortune 500 companies, who are leading the curve in terms of revenue derived from AI transformations, that's the first step that they have all taken consistently. I think the big thing that moves on from there is that they are looking very deeply at their technology architecture as one of the key initiatives. And they're looking to see what do we have in place? Where are our data warehouses? What is the CRM we're using? Where is this customer data flowing? And what do we need to know about this customer data in order to activate? And that typically comes down to one or two things. One is, do we have the legal rights to use this data? Do we have the consent and the preferences sort of laminated on each data set where it needs to be? And can we do that autonomously? Can that actually run through our systems? Or do we have some type of manual back end process that's kind of gumming us up or slowing us down? And that's where you see the technology investment come through. Now, obviously, the technology investment is important, but it's just one piece of the puzzle. The next piece comes in making sure that that technology is a single layer across the tech stack so that the customer data is clean, it's ready for use. You know when you can use it, you know when you can't use it based on what the customer has told you. And that's where we really see some pretty tremendous outcomes. We have one customer as an example that has done nearly $2 billion in revenue derived straight from those AI transformations. And all of that comes back to whether or not that data is clean and consented for use. And that's powering all of those amazing launches that they're able to do.
Quick pause. This is important for any marketing leader. Marketing must continuously prove its value or the budgets dry up. Marketing mix models provide that proof in a way finance and leadership can believe. And we at ProRelevant help teams answer critical questions. Which campaigns actually worked? Which channels really moved the needle? And where should the next dollar go? With over 20 years of experience across complex marketing environments, we know how to deliver clarity, not guesswork. To learn more, go to mmm.prorelevant.com and set up a short strategy session. And now, back to the podcast.
Yeah, interesting. So let me just write that down. That's a great point
Yeah.
there. Um, so where is the dividing line, so to speak? So let's say that I want to run a highly focused connected TV, CTV campaign, and I'm not necessarily changing the message, but I'm certainly segmenting my audience based on, this creative is more adept at, at conversion for this audience versus a different creative, maybe for a different audience, as opposed to then, kind of a one-on-one message, which says, hey, you just bought this product. We recommend you buy that product. Where kind of is the dividing line? How do you see that working out?
Well, I always come back to the right message to the right person at the right time. And I think when you get all three of those things correct, then you're really setting yourself up for success. And so, first, if you start with the person, the question is, do I have the ability to reach this person and have they consented to that relationship that we have set up? Can I take all of this great information that I might know about them and then use that in my engagement structure with that person? And I think that that's sort of the first big line that stumps companies sometimes in terms of maybe they're overdoing it, maybe they're underdoing it, but there's a lot of room for improvement there. On the messaging front, this is where I think marketing organizations really, really shine in developing those custom campaigns, that custom message that is based on insights and getting it out to that person correctly. And then the timing place is sort of interesting as well. As you mentioned, you might be talking about cross brand. Maybe I've had person buy brand A within my portfolio, and now I want to reach out to them about brand B. And am I allowed to do that? What might be stopping me? Well, a couple of things. One, the person may have said, I can't reach out to them under that umbrella, and that I can only reach out to them with product A or under brand A. There might be regional issues that are occurring. Maybe they're in different locations with different rules. The products themselves might be so fundamentally different. And that's where having that layer is so important because if marketing teams are great at developing that message, getting those strong campaigns out, knowing those insights, they also need to know how to move in this very complicated web of what can be a lot of different regulations, a lot of different brand promises, and a lot of different brand architecture, whether it's tech stack, product, or otherwise, to kind of weed through.
Well, I guess I'm, having a little bit of trouble though. So you take linear TV,
Yep.
broadcast, it goes out to the world. I did not get permission to send that message by anybody that received it, okay? And nor has, it's still, accepted. Nobody complain. I mean, we all complain about the ads sometimes, but nevertheless, we don't complain in a legal way. Now, if you go the next level, so now I do CTV. Well, I'm only looking at the connected TVs, and then I'm picking an audience, and I'm picking. So there now I've refined who I'm sending it to, but it's kind of still broadcast. And then now I go and I do an email campaign of where I have all these emails and I have their permissions to send it, and so then there I have very specific permissions to send it from that brand. Um, and um, and I don't know, do I, where? So I'm having trouble. So
Mhm.
what level of permissions difference do I need going from CTV, which is reasonably targeted, to something like email, which can be highly targeted?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, and you could even take it down further, right? Like I want to start texting the person versus
Yeah,
emailing. I
yeah,
want to take what I learned in store and put it into the digital world. Each of those different cuts is based on regulation that exists and what that regulation says. And those vary by jurisdiction. Those can vary by state, those can vary by country in terms of what's allowed. Obviously in Europe, you got to have certain regulations and setups and structures. And then in the US, whether you're in California versus Texas versus New York, it's all different. And so that's where I think just having that engine that just adjudicates and tells you those rules right at runtime, as opposed to trying to weed through them or figure them out, that's where it gets really important. And trying to find that line is really interesting. So I'll say a couple things there. One, we've worked with companies that have said, here's the line that we have set for our business, based on how we want to reach out to people digitally. And because of that line, that means we can't do any of our marketing strategies to people in the state of California because the state of California's regulations are different than this line that we have drawn for our company. That represents a lot of lost revenue for the business to take that
yeah.
approach, to have a line drawn that says we can't use these really phenomenal marketing strategies in the whole state of California. And that's where we come in, we work them and say, okay, let's set a dynamic line. Let's move that line based on the regulation. And what's stopping you from doing that? Well, it's what's stopping us from doing it is we don't have that information. We can't get that across our technology stack. All right, let's set that up so that you can actually bring California back online for your marketing team. Let's bring Europe back online for your marketing team, but let's do it in a way that respects the local regulations, respects the brand promise that you're going to have of doing it ethically. And let's get that running so that you don't have to draw those artificial lines that end up carving out and chunking up your revenue based on the channel or the medium or the person. That to me is the worst case scenario of what we should be doing. Let's get really smart and thoughtful here with the ethical piece and the regulation piece built in from the ground level.
So yeah, and I remember a discussion I had, I don't know, maybe it was 2 years ago, and I don't know if it still applies, but I thought it was kind of a fun discussion. Is I live in California and I can't get certain messages, let's say. I fly to Texas or whatever So am I now able to get those messages or am I not able to get those messages?
It
It's
still
there's so many
applies.
cool little things there. Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly right. It still applies. We work with a company, where they're like, okay, well, what about our business traveler set? Folks start in Europe and go to California for business work and then come and interact with our product digitally. What do we do that, like, all of those things still apply? It's an incredibly nuanced world. And that's why that layer is so important in order to activate against this and to do it really well.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, Kate, very fascinating topic, and that new layer, I guess, which is the and I like the way you called it consented. I wrote that down. I love that word. I'm going to have to use that now in the in the future. But I love that concept of getting consented. Having consent to do whatever it is that you're trying to do. I do have one last question before we close, and that is, so what advice would you give an up and coming new marketer that's now getting into the marketing business with AI as potentially one of their competitors, but also one of their value add technologies?
Yeah, I hear a lot of advice, which I think is great around learning as much as you can, trying the tools. I think that is phenomenal advice. I will perhaps push it a step farther, which is something that we certainly do with all of our folks who are moving up in their roles. Really try to find the edge of what AI can do. Try to not just find and explore different tools, but see how far you can take it, because that to me is going to be the single greatest piece of helping to make sure that you are developing skills that put you ahead of where AI can be. So great, AI can help us make videos. Awesome. Can it complete the entire video end to end? And can you try to remove yourself from the entire process of what you would try to do? As close as you get to that, the more you're going to figure out about where your career and where your skills need to go into the future. And that's certainly something that a lot of us have been thinking about. And so I think that's a really important piece of advice for people coming up in the marketing world today.
Yeah, I love that as trying to find that edge. That's a great piece of advice. Well, Kate, thank you so much for participating today. Very valuable and very important. And I like this concept of inserting, so to speak, another layer into the stack and into your data so that you're targeting your consented customers and what have you. Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here. I'll have to check out your book when it drops.
No, absolutely. Well, don't worry, I'm going to be targeting you
Perfect.
with
With the right message.
exactly, with highly personalized stuff. So where can folks learn more about you and your company?
Awesome. Well, check us out on transcend.io. That's the best place to find us. We're online on LinkedIn as well, but the website is the best place to explore, see what we're all about and what we can do for your company if you're looking for that layer to help solve all of these issues that are headed into AI.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, transcend.io. And well, thank you so much. And for the audience, please stay tuned for many other episodes in this series of the backstory on marketing and AI. And definitely go to marketingmachine.prorelevant.com and sign up for more information on my upcoming book. And stay tuned because in a few short weeks, we're going to have some really cool news coming out. So, Kate, thank you again. Really appreciate the time.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.